Oui, bonjour, Fanny Roux pour Contexte. J'ai une question assez simple.
I've got quite a straightforward question. Could you tell us about the agreement reached this weekend between Berlin and the Commission on CO2 emissions from cars, and tell us when you're going to be publishing the statement which is supposed to flow from that agreement? Well, these questions are quite closely linked, simply linked, but closely linked. As you know, today there's a Coreper meeting being held which is going to analyse this issue, and tomorrow there will be a council meeting which will be expressing a view on the proposal made by the Commission. And so we're going to wait to hear the outcome of those discussions before we go into detail and publish the information on the announcement made this weekend. Thank you. So that's what we can say for the moment. Any further questions on that subject?
Mose, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I have a few questions, but concerning this issue about this agreement, the statement, I just wonder if you could clarify if it only concerns, let's say, whether the deadline for, let's say, putting an end to combustion engines, or whether it only concerns the question about using other fuels, e-fuels, for cars which are fueled, which have these engines. That was not clear to me in the previous statement.
Tim.
Hi, good afternoon, Mose. I think there's a fairly clear answer to that in the tweet from Executive Vice President Timmermans, which went out on Saturday morning. I'm happy to read that out. So what he said is that we found an agreement with Germany on the future use of e-fuels in cars. We will work now on getting the CO2 standards for cars regulation adopted as soon as possible, and then the Commission will follow up swiftly with the necessary legal steps to implement Recital 11. So that's a recital in that legislation which refers to e-fuels. And then, as Eric said, on the rest of the process, that's something which is in course, following its course, and we can explain a bit more detail later.
Okay. I see hands raised in the chat. Is it on this? Please only keep your hand raised if it is on this, but bearing in mind what I have just said before. Stefano.
Thank you very much, Stefano Porcello-Lex. I hope you can hear me. So I have two questions. The first is regarding transparency. So you have announced that the European Commission has a deal with a particular member country, but we don't know the details of this deal. So don't you think that it's important that the Commission is transparent on the engagement it takes with a member country and inform the public of the commitments that have been taken? So this is the first question. And the second question is about the recital you were referring to, Recital 11. It's about carbon neutral fuels and not e-fuels. So can you explain to us what are carbon neutral fuels, how they are calculated according to the Commission, and why, for example, biofuels are not considered part of this group, if I understand what your position is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On your first question, let me answer very briefly that it is obviously very important to follow a proper institutional process, and that process is that if there have been discussions with a particular member state, it is absolutely natural that first the other member states would be informed and involved in the process, and this is precisely what is taking place today, and then of course tomorrow. On the second question, I pass the floor to Tim.
Yeah, and actually, Eric, just to complement what you said on that, as well as informing the member states, we've maintained a dialogue with members of the European Parliament on that, because of course it's about a piece of legislation which has been agreed together. So that's the other leg of our transparency and democracy commitment on this file. On the issue of biofuels, again, we're getting a little bit into what the next steps are on the definition. And what we've done is we've offered the necessary assurances on what the next steps of this process will be. You will get further clarity on that when the vote goes through, when we issue a statement on what the next steps are, and there'll be plenty of time plenty of process for us to go into all the technical details and debate, which will no doubt continue on the issue of e-fuels, biofuels, and other issues.
Thank you. Tommaso.
Yes, good afternoon. Tommaso Galavotti, Edian Kronos. It's a follow-up to a question asked by my colleague Stefano Porcello. It's about biofuels. Do you think that biofuels are completely out of the question, or that they could enter in the future? Because, I mean, as Stefano Porcello reminded us, the recital 11 is about CO2 neutral fuels, not just e-fuels. Thank you. Are they completely out of the question, the biofuels, or not? Thank you.
I'm only going to repeat what I said to Stefano. I mean, it's not the stage to get into future speculation about what might be in and out of the next steps and type approval conversations and these kind of things that happen. Biofuels is an issue which has come up in conversation, of course, in recent days. And it's something which we will have to address in the future. I'm not going to rule anything in or out now, but what's clear is the legislation is about zero emissions vehicles being registered in the EU as of 2035. The agreement between the Parliament and the Council remains untouched, and we will be implementing that in good faith.
Lorenzo.
Yes, I'm sorry to insist because I had the same question and I have one particular point on this, which is technological neutrality. If you say that, as Mr. Timmermans has said, that this will concern e-fuels and not neutral fuels, you are not being neutral technologically. So how can we have an interpretation of recital 11 that is only on e-fuels without being, being neutral technologically. We cannot be neutral technologically if we only speak of e-fuels. We don't know what the future development will be if e-fuels and biofuels, or only one of them, will be neutral or none of them. Thank you.
Lorenzo, this proposal has been designed from the start as technology neutral. That's the approach that we have taken, and what we've done here is we're in the process of offering assurances, and we will confirm that in a statement after the vote, hopefully tomorrow, about how we interpret that and what the next steps are. So I can assure you that our approach has been technology neutral to the negotiation and proposal of this agreement, and it will also be technology neutral on the future implementation.
Thank you. I see one last hand raised, I suppose, on this issue. Suniva.
Hi, sorry. Thanks for taking my question. Maybe I've missed it. I was just wondering at what point the Commission informed Member States of the agreement on Saturday. Is it today, after Coreper? Is it tomorrow? Has it already been done? And apologies if you've already clarified this. I'm just a bit unclear on it. Thank you.
It's okay. Tim will specify once again.
Yeah, I can't give you a precise timing, but I can tell you that the Coreper meeting of the ambassadors started at 10 o'clock this morning, and it's during this meeting that the Commission will be explaining to all member states the issue. Of course, we've been in touch with the presidency in advance to make sure that this gets the appropriate space on the agenda for today and then hopefully for the Council tomorrow.
Very good. I see no further hands raised on this issue, so we shift to other themes. David.